Hi everyone, join me today as we paint this haunted house in watercolor. Supplies for today: I have a palette of paints, a palette for mixing, a size 4 round brush, water, a spray bottle and tissue for blotting. The paper I'm using is Baohong 100% cotton cold press paper with a 300 GSM or 140 pound weighting. I'm going to start with my pencil sketch already on the page. You can find the link to the free traceable sketch reference in the description box below. This tutorial and all of its sketches and pictures of the final sketch can be found on my Patreon channel. You can join as a free member and have access to all of these references and video. I'm going to start by doing the background first, and to do that I'm going to completely omit the moon, and I'm going to make sure that I paint around it, and the bats we will fill in black at the end. But the sky, I want to have a nice mix of pinks, purples, light blue and dark blue. So really the color choices are entirely up to you, and you don't need to use the same colors that I am. Just use whatever is on your palette. So for a lighter purple, I am mixing up some Quinacridone Purple here. Then for a pinkish sort of color, I think I will do, let me think, maybe some Rose Madder Permanent. Then I'll mix up some Ultramarine. And Indigo. I'm going to use my larger size 12 brush just to get some water on the brush and get some water down on the page first. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a vignette at the top. So that means I'm going to touch up against the edge of the building here, but I'm not going to fill to the edge of the page. But that is entirely a personal preference. If you're wanting to take it all the way to the edge, then by all means do so. But that's why I'm stopping a bit short there. I'll take it up and over the top. And I'm going to work wet in this layer so that the colors can easily blend into each other. So that means I'm going to put a water layer down first and then drop my colors into that so that they spread nicely. Now I'm going to get my smaller brush and go closer to the buildings. Even if my brush isn't entirely clean, it's still got a bit of indigo on it because indigo is such a staining color. That's okay. It can all mix in the end anyway. It is a bit tricky when my paper is taped down to the table, but I did that for the ease of the video, but it is certainly much easier if you are able to rotate this around whilst you are putting your water layer down. It doesn't really matter if you paint over the bats because we're going to do those in black, but I am being very careful to cut around the moon carefully. And I just mustn't forget these little areas on the left. Alright, so let's work from light to dark. So I will take the, what did I use, Rose Madder Permanent. It still had some of the purple in it from when I had used the previous colour. And then I'm just going to drop it in here in there. Next I'm going to take the Quinacridone Purple and try and do that sort of just around the pink area. Every bit of support that my YouTube videos get help me to grow my channel. And supporting me doesn't have to cost you anything. If you are enjoying this video, please click the like button below. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also let me know the sorts of videos that you would like to see in the future. I would love to hear from you. Then I'll take the Ultramarine. I think I've changed my mind. I think I am going to take it. There was not enough space on the right here for a vignette, So it doesn't make any sense just to have a vignette on the left. So I'm going to take this all the way to the corner. And now the indigo. I've purposefully gone with a thicker consistency of the indigo because I want that to be the overriding colour. And see it's starting to dry here. It's not blending, so I'm just adding a little bit of water. And then I'm just encouraging the blending. I'm just taking the indigo in a slightly thinner consistency here, just so that it doesn't overtake the whole thing. I'm ignoring here for the moment because I can see that it's drying, so I'd rather come back and start that again than compromise everything else. I'm going to drop this in the corner as well to make the corners the darkest. I have got a Facebook group that I would love for you to join. Its name is christinemclarenart. This is a space where members like you can upload and share pictures of your completed tutorials. I love to see the finished tutorials of all of my followers. So if you complete this tutorial, please post a picture in my Facebook group for me to see. Facebook is a bit confusing, but I also have a Facebook page. This is the place where I share links to my videos. So just to be safe, why not go ahead and like and join both the Facebook page and group. Then you won't miss a thing and I will be able to see your finished artworks. I'm concentrating a lot of the indigo around the edge of the house here, just so that we do get a nice contrast. The house will be lighter than the sky, and it'll pop forward if we've got it against a nice contrast color. Maybe my brush isn't completely clean and I want it that way. I'm going to pick up a bit more of the purple and drop some of that in here. It's also drying down here, so I will do that all again just now. Alright, so now let's add some water to the bottom part. These are two entirely separate segments, so that's fine. I don't have to worry about any watery bleed back. It's the side on the right that's going to be a little bit trickier to add water to. So here, if I put too much water in this area, then the water's going to go back and bleed back into here and cause a cauliflower effect. So I'm just going to be cautious about how much water I put down, and also at the intersection with the color, so that I don't get bleeding backwards. So my brush is quite dry here as I just go into this area. I'll kind of take it up to there, just dotting in a little bit. I'm going to carry through with the same color here. Alright, I'm very happy with the way that that's turned out, but with the darkness of these colours I need to make sure that the whole thing dries completely. Oh, do you know what I've left out is this area behind the cobweb. So let me just carry that through with the indigo. Hopefully that doesn't look too disjointed when it dries. Alright, so now I'm going to leave this whole thing to dry completely before I start the house. I'm going to do the yellow inside of the windows now before I do any of the colours around it, just so that the yellow stays nice and light and bright, and doesn't get tainted with any other color. So I'm going to start with Hansa Yellow Light. I'm going to mix up a very weak consistency of it, and then put that into each of the windows. I'll do a couple at a time. I'm going to drop a warmer yellow into the windows afterwards, but I don't want the color that I drop in to spread too far, so I am going to let this yellow dry a little bit, which is why I'm doing a few at a time. And then I think I'm going to drop some new Gamboge into the windows as well. Now I'm going to mix up some new Gamboge. This I want in a slightly thicker consistency, so that when I drop it in, it doesn't spread too far. I'm going to drop it into the top window panes up here. I'll do the top and then the bottom of each section, just to break up the yellow and make the inside look a little bit warmer. As I mentioned earlier, I have launched my Patreon channel. You can join my Patreon for free and have access to all of my YouTube videos and reference sketches, photos and pictures there. You are under no obligation to become a paid Patreon member, but from time to time I will release some paid watercolor classes that you might find of interest. Joining my Patreon will keep you abreast of all of my classes, free and paid. Now let me do the windows on the right hand side. I just didn't want to do all of them at the same time because I thought that I might end up putting my hand down on one of them. So I'll just do with the last 4 remaining windows exactly the same thing. I think I'm also, whilst it's on my brush, I'm going to put this Hansa Yellow Light into the eyes and mouth of the jack-o'-lanterns to glow through. Alright, onto the new Gamboge again, and let me just repeat. Alright, I'm going to let that dry. Now that this is completely dry, I think I'm going to work on the roof tiles next. And for my colour, I think I'm going to add to the ultramarine that I've got there, I'm going to add some Paynes Grey. I would like it greyer than that. And then I'm happy with that. I'm going to start with quite a watery consistency on the roof and then add in my colour. So really just rinsing off my brush a little bit, and then with what remains on my brush I'm going to put that down, just so that I can add in some additional colour after this colour is down, without it getting too dark. I'll just add a bit of water to that. This will join with the next layer over, so I can do them together for now. Alright, before that dries too much, I'm going to drop in some more of my grey. So in my mind, the light will be coming from the right, from the moon. So if I'm going to darken any side, it'll be the left of the dome here. I'll worry about doing a shadow underneath in a later layer. And then I'll just drop a little bit here and there, just to get a difference in consistency and colour on the roof. but as you can see I put more on the left to make it look like there's light shining on the right. Here I guess there would be shadow cast on the roof over here, as well as on from the chimney on the left here. And then let me dot a little here and there. Alright, I'm going to rinse off my brush a bit. Let me do this one. Let me not forget this one here as well. I've gone out the lines a little bit there. Let me just try and lift that. Let me do these last two remaining sections. Now whilst that's drying, I think I'll work on the pumpkins a little bit. I'm going to add into this well here Hansa yellow medium. I'm just looking for a slightly warmer yellow to make as the base layer of my pumpkins, and I'm going to put that down and then do some orange into it after. So I'm trying to avoid the lighter color that I put down earlier and just drop this yellow color around. Now I will get a little bit more new Gamboge. I've got that in quite a thick consistency there. And I will drop that into the pumpkins from the bottom and let it work its way up. I'm just going to rinse off my brush and then encourage a bit of blending upwards here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Alizarin Crimson, see if I can make this a darker orange. It's just a little bit sticky. Let me start that again. New Gamboge first. Then some Alizarin Crimson. Now I will dot that in at the bottom again. And then I'll rinse off my brush and encourage some blending upwards. Alright, I'm going to let that dry now. I'm going to work on the walls of the house now, and for that I want to mix up a sort of greyish purplish colour. So it might end up being a combination of the colours that I've got already, but I think I'm going to need more than what I've got here. I'm going to move to a bigger well on my palette. I'm going to just mix these two purples, and then into them I'm going to maybe add a bit of Paynes Grey and see if I can knock it back to be not so bright. It's gone a little bit blue. Let me just pick up anything that I can here. I'm just reaching for some Quinacridone Purple. I'd like it a bit redder than that, so I'm going to add some Rose Madder Permanent to that. Even more so. One little bit more of Rose Madder Permanent. Alright, so like I did earlier, I'm going to do it section by section, come with a very watery brush first. I'm going to paint around the windowsills. And I am going to keep it section by section because I will try and drop in some shadow as well at the same time. I think I'll let some music play now because the principle will be the same as the roofs, where I'm putting the water layer down first and then dropping my more intense color down, and then I think what I will do is to create a bit more shadow I'll probably add a bit of Paynes Grey in. Let me put it on the palette so that you can see when I reach for it. So let me put the Paynes Grey shadow here, and then you can just paint along with me. Whilst that dries, I'm just going to work on my bats a little bit. I could paint them in using black watercolor, but I don't want to go out the lines at all, and so I'm going to use my Pigma Micron black permanent pen in size 05, and I'm just going to color in on the inside because there's really not much to do at all, and just so that I get my black in and that there's no chance that I go out the lines. I also realized that I didn't put any lines in on this pumpkin like I did on the others, so I'm just going to do that. Now I'm going to work on the stairs and the ground in front a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to prepare, I think, a muted sort of green. To do that, I think I'm going to use undersea green. Firstly, I'm going to use the Paynes Grey that I've got in my palette already and just do lightly on the stairs with that. I will come and do further shadowing on the stairs to separate the sides that are facing us. But for now, I will start by doing that lightly, just covering the whole stairs. Then I think I'm going to work wet and wet on the front area. Maybe I'll use my bigger brush just to do what I can and then cut around with the smaller brush. I won't touch the stairs just yet because they're quite wet. I'm going to go up to the base of the bushes here. Then picking up this brush, I will just do the rest. It's very wet, I'm just picking up a little. Alright, so with the undersea green, I'm going to come from the side. Leave the area in the middle. I'm going to do some sort of pathway there. I like this undersea green because it is a naturally granulating color, which means it's made up of more than one color, and it tends to separate, as you can see, into those different colors the more water you use. So the wetter that you're dropping it into, the more it'll granulate. And so for that, I like to use it on the grass area because it granulates for me. Then I think on the pathway, let me start with some Paynes Grey. Then I'm picking up a bit of sepia. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Alright, I'm just going to let that dry so my hand doesn't smudge things. Oh, I suppose what I can do, whilst I've got this green still on the palette, let's do the tops of the pumpkins. Right, now I'm going to let that dry. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of these walls now, but I'm also going to do a light layer of burnt sienna on the chimney. Alright, so now I'm going to do the remaining few walls. If you are enjoying this tutorial and are gaining value from it, please consider making a small donation to me on my Buy Me a Coffee platform. As you can imagine, these tutorials take many hours of work to put together. I appreciate any and all donations, as they help me to continue building this platform. I'm going to work on the bushes a little bit now. I don't want them to be too bright because that'll knock out the whole look of what I'm trying to obtain here. I'm just adding a bit of sap green to the green and brown that I've already got down here. I'll put that in first and then maybe some darker contrast color after. Now I will darken that green up again with the undersea green in a thickish consistency. I'll do this at the base. And then just dot it here and there. And then I think the door, let me do the door in Paynes Grey. I'm going to get my burnt sienna in a thicker consistency than what I used initially and just do the side here. Maybe I'll do the little knob at the top of the roof here in Paynes Grey as well. I'll lighten it up on the right hand side. I think I'm going to add a little bit of Paynes Grey used some of my purple here to create a shadow color, which I will do down the side of the building here. I'm going to add some more down the right hand side as well. Then I'll get the Paynes Grey to do the steps with. So each of the vertical segments I will put Paynes Grey on that. I'm just putting a bit of shadow under or near the front door here, but fading it out and not making it a solid line. And then also I think I must do under the tower roof. And also these little bits under the roof. And then I'm wondering about the windows and also these little stones here. Maybe I will get buff titanium. Maybe I'm going to add some sort of brown to that. So let me take a burnt umber just to do these stones. But I'm inclined to want to leave the edges of the windows and the windowsills white. Let me let that dry and then I'll have a final look at it and see if I want to change anything. I let it dry and decided that I didn't want to change anything. So here is the final sketch. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. Until next time, bye for now.